Alright, welcome everyone. Today's video is going to just be a real quick video. I got this reel. This is the iFishband Clamber. It's what you'd call an AliExpress BFS reel, but it's really top within that category. It's really top tier. So I'm going to go over a few different features, also how I'm going to be testing out in the future. So if you want to see that, stay tuned. Also comment down below if you've had any success with any of these Chinese BFS reels. Alright, so Bait Finesse Empire is going to be getting these more of these in stock. I did watch some videos. I know the Reel Test has done quite a few videos on this, so check out some of his videos. I know he does a lot more of the actual data, like the numbers of casting distance and such. I'm gonna be getting this reel out in actual fishing situations, as far as like in streams. Try it out in streams for trout, like casting in tight little areas. Also, I might do a little bit of late season panfish fishing as well. See how far I can cast those light jigs. But busting into it. It has a 6.6 to 1 gear ratio, which is usually a little low for me. I prefer a little bit faster gears for BFS. But it should be okay, and just for testing out. I know that a lot of people, especially if they use like small spinner baits and crankbaits, they actually prefer that smaller gear ratio. Right up, that's the, here I'll hold it like this so you can see it. And that's the clicking drag, so it's like if your line spinner, it has a drag clicker on there. It feels nice. I'm going to do a lot of comparisons to the KastKing Zephyr, just because that's the only other reel in that kind of that umbrella category of Chinese BFS reels that I've used. It feels, I mean, this is just right out of the box, so don't take this for granted. I mean, don't take this as like the be-all test, but it feels pretty smooth, and the anti-reverse is actually like instant too. There's not a lot of slop in there. Clicking drag star. It's a little tight right now. I don't know if that'll loosen up. Clicking spool tension knob too. And I know the Reel Test, he did weigh the spool. I don't have the means right now to weigh the spool, but I think it was, with the bearing on there, I think it was 7.9 grams if I'm not mistaken. There are 10 different. There's micro clicks in between. I don't know how many. Let's see. I think there's about 30 different clicks on there, because between each number it has little micro clicks in there. I know from his testing it was about 75% of the brakes was actually like max. It was kind of like overkill for some of those lighter jigs. It comes with a carbon fiber handle. It looks like it's 80 millimeters. Let me see. Yeah, that's 80 millimeters for sure. Thumb bar feels pretty good so far too. But a lot of my worries is actually durability when it comes to a lot of these reels. Castability, of course, because sometimes they might cast, let's say, a 16th ounce jig pretty decent, but it requires like super fine tuning of the brakes and spool tension knob, and make sure that, you know, there's no wind at all. But so I'm going to see how the adaptability of these brakes are. Well, that's actually a pretty cool button to open it up. I don't know if the camera picked that up, but it's a little button there. It's kind of like how Shimano does with their little lever, but it's like a quick release button, so you can just press that. It's a little bit harder to press too, not in a bad way, so you don't accidentally hit it and your side plate falls off. That's the braking system right there. It's kind of like how the KastKing Zephyr is. All the magnets stacked up on one side. There is not a micro bearing in there either, so I'll put a micro bearing in there after I test it out stock at first. And let's see what else there is. Yeah, there's a lot of grease. Let's see if the camera can pick that up. But there's no micro bearing there, and there's a lot of grease. So I might have to clean that out too. I'm gonna clean that out before I actually use it, because that's, I don't know, it's just grease in general on like fast spinning bearings, like your spool bearings, isn't a good idea. Except for, say, if you're saltwater fishing or something, like for anti-rust. Especially in BFS, grease is a no-go for sure. So I'll clean those out, and I'll probably put some Hedgehog Alchemy oil in there. For a Chinese reel, that feels pretty decent. I'm gonna see, like I said, I'm gonna see how this casts a lot of those different trout lures on the stream. Once I get this side plate back on. Oh, there's like a little hook in there. If you can see that, there's a little hook in there. And I know that RAR fishing, he got this reel as well from Bait Finesse Empire, so I'm going to see, well, at least for myself, I'm going to see how my thoughts compare to his thoughts. Not that there's good, bad, or indifferent. Just different opinions on the same piece of gear. Same thing with the reel test. So that way you can kind of use all three opinions to see if this reel will perform for you or not. Some other things too. It feels kind of like the bottom of a couch if you've ever looked at the underside of a couch. But at least it's a reel pouch, and it's pretty generously cut too. Yeah, that'll easily fit like a 300 size Shimano reel, and it does have cinching, like a drawstring on there, so that's actually not too bad. I mean, it's a lot more than like say a lot of Daiwa reels or Shimano reels can say for themselves, really. And they have instructions. Ooh. It's a bunch of like brand tags or whatever. So they have a really nice. This is actually pretty nice. Oh, they have instructions in English as well. Oh, they have different reels too. Looks like they look like different spools, so I don't think they're within the same line. You can see that. And then a little bit of instructions here, just your basic how to take off your side plate, how to put line on, all that kind of good stuff. And they do have the part numbers in English as well, so that it's just not that you'd really be ordering parts too much. And a lot of parts are kind of generic, like your bearings, like your bearing retainer clips, those little wires. Those I always lose those, and those are pretty universal, so you don't have to worry about trying to order from iFishband directly. Some other things to note here, it does have a lot of bearings in there. It's a 9+1. I don't know exactly where they're at. I mean, I have to look on here. Looks like the knobs each have 2 bearings in there. So you probably have like a bushing and a level wind. I'm not going to dig too much into that. The bearing counts, they're nice, but I feel I've had some 11+1 reels that it's a little bit louder and not as smooth as some that are maybe 6+1. This all depends on like bushings, and also if you fish saltwater, which I don't know if this reel is saltwater safe or not. I bet it says it somewhere. But that's something too, that you don't want a whole bunch of bearings if you're fishing saltwater, because that saltwater intrusion can still happen. And as far as line capacity, it holds quite a bit of line. It's not a super deep spool, but it does have a pretty wide diameter on there, so it will hold a lot of line on there. Like here it says, for 0.165 millimeters, holds 110 meters. And let's see, I got right here this 4-pound bush trail. This is 0.165 millimeters for the 4-pound. So, and that's 110 meters. So that's pretty much this entire spool. Actually, this is a 100-meter spool. So that's quite a bit of line capacity. Let me see for an 8-pound line here too. 8-pound line gets me 0.215, and then 10-pound is so let's see. So it holds about, I don't know, I'd say like probably 70 meters of 8-pound monofilament. So it's a little bit deeper than like the Aldebaran, which I know that the reel test did. I think he didn't like measure, but I think he weighed the amounts of line, and it was about like 50% more line capacity. So if you are using that, like say 6 or 8-pound monofilament, you actually get quite a bit of line capacity on there. Alright, so if you want to see this reel in action in fishing streams, all that kind of stuff, make sure you subscribe. Also comment down below what kind of lures that you'd want me to throw with this reel, and also what Chinese reels that you're using as well.